Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is it really true? Is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on Hamilton Radio, guys. So everyone who knows me knows I am the author of I'm Not an Addict, I'm Just an Ass. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, guys, because almost 32 years ago, I was a dumbass. But through the grace of God, 32 years later, I can honestly say I'm a smartass. Yes, the word ass is in the Bible. It means donkey. It's in there at least 40 times, guys, okay, because that's what I was. I say that to say this. We've all over the world, had the roughest 3 years of our lives, right? And you know, everyone out there should know they're not alone, and there's always someone listening. We've lost people the last 3 years. Some survived and some haven't. And I'm a recovery coach. I'm a nutritional health coach. All my services to you are free. Okay? And if you think my book can help anyone, I do. Please go right to Simon & Schuster's bookstore, Archway Publishing. And, guys, it's everywhere. It's on Amazon, it's on BAM, it's on Barnes & Nobles. But if you truly, truly, truly cannot afford my book, please reach out to me about that as well, okay? So, guys, having said that, I have an incredible, incredible guest with us today. Everyone who knows me knows I'm also one of the biggest Elvis fans out there, right? And I'm a Christian. And I'm saying that to say this, because my guest is not only an ETA, okay? He loves God, but he's got an incredible story. He doesn't stop there, all right? Everyone, Geri Ferretti, say hello to the world.
Hello there, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you?
Terrific. Really never been better. And it's great to be on the show. Thanks for having me. Geri to Geri. This is great.
And you know what's funny? I can say this because it's you. So usually Jerry's are J-E-R-R-Y as males. My dad was Jerry. Okay, he was Gerard, but J-E-R-Y, and I took on the G-E-R-I for Geraldine. My mother hated me. But anyway, I love the name Jerry. So, you know, your resume is incredible, first of all. Your bio is awesome. There's so much about you to tell. Why don't you start with a little bit about yourself, please, and don't be bashful.
Well, I guess I could say that from the time I was a little boy, I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't always pursue it because of, things that get in the way. Life gets in the way, or you let fear enter your life, and then you don't always do what you want to do. But I had my first opportunity to sing, very much like Elvis, when I was about 11 or 12 years old. I sang "Welcome to My World" in church. So I actually got my start singing in a church in Massapequa, and it was my first time singing in public, and I knew that I was hooked. Throughout my life, I've always kept at least one foot in the industry, in music, film, theater. It's always been a passion of mine to perform, and it's just it gives me great pleasure to see people enjoying God's gift. And it took me a while to get there because my dad was a big band musician, and he was super talented. He played with some big names back in the day, and I grew up sort of feeling in the shadow because he was so talented. And I took up guitar and a little piano, but he was so musically inclined that since my main instrument was my voice, I went through a period where I thought okay, you didn't work to attain this. It was just given to you. So you almost think backwards. You think it's not real because you didn't work for it. So it took me a while to develop the confidence to say, no, this is a gift and I need to do it. So I started doing it more and more. And Elvis was a big reason why that happened because I bought a jumpsuit and I started doing shows about 30 years ago, and it just snowballed. And I had gotten married, and I did. My wife and I at the time had done theater work. We did murder mysteries and dinner theater. We started our own company doing audience participation murder mysteries, and we had two wonderful daughters. And I always stayed in it. I work in a totally different field for a living, and it's juggling both sides of the brain basically because here I am working as an investigator, which is so technical. I like to think of it as Columbo when I'm doing investigations. I always have to bring in some kind of creative aspect to it because it can get monotonous when you really want to be on stage or performing or creating.
I have to interrupt you, and I usually don't do that, but I have to. So when you say you work as an investigator, so what is your real job title?
Fraud investigation. I've been doing it for 28 years, investigating Medicaid, welfare fraud for Suffolk County. And, now I don't do much actual investigation because I supervise in the office. And, once you get a certain amount of time in, they sort of have you hooked because you have to get
I
to
love that
retirement.
investigation stuff. All right, I'm sorry, I had to ask.
Yeah, it's a whole, but like I said, it's a whole different
Yeah. All right,
side of my
continue.
brain. And people who know me, they say, why are you here? Why aren't you out performing? I'm like, well, I am. And that's the thing. Like everybody who knows me now says, when do you sleep? And sleep's overrated. It's like,
Okay.
you get 5 hours, 6 hours, you're good.
All
You're
right,
good.
continue. I had to ask that.
Yeah, so that's like I said, I got back into it. I've always done some theater work all over Long Island, different theaters over the years. And when I started doing the Elvis shows, it grew into other things where I did the murder mysteries. I got involved in theater. When I was young, I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and studied acting. So I've always, kept that side of my brain going. And at the same time, it's hard. You start to juggle a family and responsibilities. So, I always say the actors that really made it, Dustin Hoffman, these guys, they lived in rat-infested apartments because that was their goal. And sometimes you have to do that. But when you have a family, you have to put things on a back burner. And I did. And we still, my daughters sang and they got involved. We did the murder mysteries and all, but it was not the main thing. And when I started doing the Elvis shows, they started to take off. It was like it went crazy. And this was years ago, but I stopped doing it because I didn't want to be someone else. Like I always say that you're not an Elvis impersonator. You're a tribute artist.
Right.
The music, you're keeping the legacy alive. People love it. But something about putting on that jumpsuit all the time, I just reached a point where I said, nope. And a friend of mine yesterday said, I remember when you said you're never going to put that jumpsuit on again. And I said, I meant it. I was not. I wanted to go in my own direction and become creative again.
Okay.
Writing the murder mysteries and doing that was so fulfilling because it was your own creation. So 8, 9 years ago, after I had gotten divorced and, you think you reach the bottom of your, life can't get any worse. Okay.
Okay.
And I went to the doctor and I had a checkup, and the doctor came to me and said, I want to see you in the office. And he informed me that he thinks I have cancer.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he said, we can't be certain. There's a tumor on your kidney and we're not sure. We have to take it out and then we'll biopsy it because we can't biopsy it on your kidney because if it pops, it'll spread through your body.
Oh, no.
So I was like, I literally laughed when he told me. He thought like I was crazy, but you just kind of think, can it get any worse? Here I was, I had custody of my kids. Now I was moving forward, but boom, life had a different plan for me. And thank God they removed the tumor. They biopsied it on the table. It was actually cancer. And the doctor came in and said, we did the right thing. And it changed my life. It really, in some ways, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it woke me up. It made me realize that I haven't been doing the things that I was put on earth to do. And I became very focused and said, okay, it's time. I'm going to make that movie I wanted to make. I'm going to make the play I wanted to make. I'm going to create this band that I wanted to create. I started writing music, and everything just snowballed forward from that point. And thank God, cancer's gone. It's never going to be back. And I don't know if you remember Indiana Jones, the third Indiana Jones movie, when
I've
he
watched
comes
them,
to
but I can't tell you, you know.
There's a scene in the movie where he's he's going through all these different things where there's booby traps and stuff, and he comes to the final blockade, and it's a cliff, and it's like 500 feet to get to the other side, and there's nothing there, and he realizes that he's come to this point, and he goes, you got to take that step of faith, and he literally puts his foot forward and steps, and there's a bridge that you can't see because it blends in with the rock. So when you're standing there, you can't actually see it, but it's actually there. So he throws sand, and there's actually a bridge there so he took that leap of faith, even though you couldn't see where it looked like you were going to fall. And I've used that analogy with everything I've started, whether it was my band, whether it was my film, whether it was my play, every single one. I say, I don't really know what's coming, but you learn to overcome the fear that blocks you and just believe that there's going to be something there to catch you. Right. It's if you take that step. And it's been a very interesting ride for the last 8 or 9 years. Everything has been, just wonderful. And I pinch myself every day because it's you're alive, you're healthy, and you're doing what you want to do. And that's, to me, the definition of happiness.
So, okay, I want to touch base on something that you said from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You said that you almost felt like because you didn't work for it, I guess your talent, right? That's what you were talking about, right?
Right.
So your father was an incredible singer.
He was a clarinet and sax player.
Oh, he was a musician, incredible musician. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you got your probably ambition from him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you feel that you needed to work for something that to me is a God-given talent, a God-given gift to you?
I think it has to do with your upbringing and the beliefs that are instilled in you is that, you almost have this notion that everything that you're going to achieve has to be a struggle.
Okay.
Like it's like, you go to college, you learn something, you have to study, you have to do whatever. And it was, okay, I enjoyed singing, I enjoyed the music, but the other thing is you don't, people tell you, well-meaning people will tell you, well, you can't make a living at that. Well, it's so hard to do it. And you start to believe these things. And I think, I never do that with my children. But I think that that's because I learned, it's like my mother would always tell me, have something to fall back on.
Yep. And
I always feel if you have something to fall back on, you're going to fall back on it.
I love that. Jar, you're Italian, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So am I. Can I ask you your age, if you don't mind?
You can ask me.
Okay,
I'll tell you.
Answer?
I'm 57.
All right, so I'm older than you. I'm 61, and I'm saying that for a reason. So I grew up with, my mom was an Italian, American Italian, but my father was from Italy, okay? And he was actually,
Right.
And I'll tell you this real quickly, he was the first one from his family that came on that boat alone at 14, and we just found the records of the ship name, the date, my dad's name is on there, and he was sent to meet an uncle he never met, and eventually the whole family came over. So they were amazing. They worked so hard.
Wow.
I wanted to go to art school in '79, and my father shook his head and said, all right. We moved from New York when I was 12 to New Jersey, but his whole family lived in New York. So my father sent me to art school, paid for it. I lived with my nonna. He would shake his head. He bought me a beauty salon to fall back on. to fall back on. And what you're saying is amazing. So, but I was a little different than you. I laughed at everything they ever did and always said, I never in my life ever thought, what if? I always thought, yeah, but what if? You know, because they would be like, well, what
Right.
if? And I'll be like, yeah, but what if? So, but
Right.
I get it, Jerry, because listen, that's how it was when we were growing up in Italian families. So
Yep.
God gave you an incredible gift, man, and I am so happy you're utilizing it.
Thank you. And it actually came from such a strange place because the reason they found the cancer, which actually changed my life, I was sitting at a light and a woman rear-ended me I was sitting in the car, and a couple of months later I had this back pain and I went to the doctor and he said, you know, it's probably by your kidney. We'll send you for a kidney stone exam. And when they sent me for the kidney stone exam, they found the cancer. And if I didn't have that little ache in my back from getting rear-ended in the car, they wouldn't have found the cancer. So, you know, you get hit by a car, you think it's a bad thing, but it can be a good thing. And it taught me that out of bad things comes good things. Someone does something to you that's not great, but when you're correcting it, you meet someone that changes your life. And then you go, well, if that little bad thing didn't happen, I wouldn't have met that person. And it's like, you know, it's like that expression, all things work together for good. And it's like, I understand that expression now. When I was younger, I didn't. I was like, well, why do I have to go through the bad thing to get the good thing? Just let the good thing happen. It doesn't always work that way. And you can change it by changing your outlook and change that path more than you realize.
I love everything you're saying. It's almost like I'm connecting with you with my life a little bit listening to what you're saying. So thank you for that.
You're
Beautiful.
welcome.
Phew. So, okay, I want you, before I ask you silly questions, because there'll be silly questions about, I love that, but I want you to continue. I want you to tell us everything there is that you want us to know.
Okay. Well, from all of this stuff that I was doing, two things happened. One, I removed negatives from my life, even if whether they're loved ones, whether they're whatnot, I learned to remove that negative, not let it affect me, and focus on all the things that I wanted to do, that I wanted to see happen, you know, for my family. And when you become focused and you take that negative thought out, things start happening. And I make a to-do list every single day. It takes 2 seconds. I take the last one from yesterday on the computer and I update it, check things off. And once you start doing that, once you change your habits, whether it's dietary, exercise, once you change it, you just become like a different person. So I said, well, what is it I always wanted to do? And I've always wanted to, you know, somebody said to me once, what do you like better? You're involved in filmmaking and music. Which do you like better? And I said, why do I have to choose?
Right.
I like them both equally. I love them both. I love working with musicians. I love seeing the audience reaction, but at the same time, I love creating. I love writing. So my daughter actually came to me after I had recovered from the cancer, and she said, I want to go to Spain with my friend. And I was like, sure. You know, and she was 16 and they were leaving on Christmas Day.
Okay.
And I was like, yes to everything because life was wonderful. Of course, 6 months later, when she was getting on that plane on Christmas, I was a nervous wreck going, what did I do? But I was so happy that I had said, yeah, go, experience, enjoy life. Like that's what we should be doing.
Yes.
And I started to then take that same approach with my own life and said, okay, you want to make a movie? Make a movie. And everybody said to me that I knew in the industry, I said, make a short film. I said, no, I'm making a feature film. Like, well, make a short. I said, no, because if I make a feature film, I'm going to do a lot of things wrong, but I'm going to have a feature film's worth of mistakes and a feature film's worth of knowledge. So I had this idea for a film that came to me in the middle of the night, and it became the film The Mark, which is about a hitman who falls in love with a woman, after a lifetime as this, his whole life gets derailed. He ends up in this business. And
Imagine
now
an
he
Italian
wants,
writing that kind of a movie. I just had to say that.
right,
Continue.
exactly. Like I said, it came to me in the middle of the night. I could tell you how it came, but so he falls in love with this woman and he doesn't know it, but she's married. And she doesn't know that he's a hitman. And he's really trying to get out of the business. And it turns out her husband is running for office and he knows his wife is fooling around. He doesn't know who it's with. And he's got a friend who's a top cop in that county they live in. And the cop says to him, look, you can't run for office if your wife is fooling around. It's going to ruin your career. I know someone who can take care of this. So he convinces the guy to hire a hitman to kill his wife's lover. Well, the hitman who gets hired is
His wife's
lover. So he gets hired to hit himself. So he takes this job and he's like, this is my last job. I'm out of this business after that. And they agree, goes fine. When he ends up, he takes the 50 grand, he goes home, he opens up the envelope and there's a picture of a woman and his assignment is to kill her lover. And the woman is his girlfriend. So he realizes at that moment, his girlfriend's married and that he just took $50,000 to kill himself. So what does he do? Well, I pitched this film to some local filmmakers that have made films and everybody wanted to make it. And what happened is I signed with this one filmmaker here on the island who had made a bunch of films. And I was going to be in the film. This is crazy, but I was going to be in the film with Armand Asante and Eric Roberts. And the filmmaker wanted to change the film. He wanted to make it into this bloody, gory, at the end, everybody gets shot and head, he's like, this is what makes money. I'm like, I don't want to make money.
No.
I want to make a film that says something. It's a throwback to the old Bogart era love triangle. It's thoughtful. It has meaning.
Yes.
So I pulled out of the situation. We had an agreement where if either one of us had any differences or whatever, we could pull out. No hard feelings. So before it got too deep, I said, no, I'm going to do this myself. So I ended up filming. I cast it with local actors and filmed this movie in 2018. It premiered at the Sayville Cinemas. Packed the theater, and again, it was my first movie. It was over 2 hours long, and there was what happens when a filmmaker makes his first film is he falls in love with every scene. And I've learned in the last 5 years of making films, if it doesn't belong in the film, take it out. Films can be better when you remove things. You leave more to the imagination. So the film now, its final edit showed in April this year. And everybody went crazy. It took me 5 years to get it to where it is. It's an hour and 25 minutes long.
I have to see it. How do I see it? How do I see it?
I'll send it to you.
You have to.
Yes, I will. I'm very proud of it. And I have people that say to me, this should be on DVD. We should be selling it, blah, blah, blah. But again, I know what it is. What I ended up doing was I started to write a sequel to it. And this is the kind of thing that I do. I say, okay, I want to write a sequel to The Mark. But I want to make it on a bigger budget now. So I said, well, since it's very hard to do explosions and all this, I said, I'm going to write it as a novel. So I'll write the sequel to The Mark as a novel. But then I sat down and said, okay, I've never written a novel. And how can I write The Mark II as a novel if I never wrote The Mark as a novel? Okay. So I went back and I wrote The Mark as a novel. Right now I'm seeking publishing for it. So there's The Mark the movie and there's The Mark the novel, and I'm working on The Mark II. So hoping that someone will pick this up, because I want it to be an ongoing series about this troubled hitman and the business. And it's not a mob film, it's not a mafia thing, it's more it's people. It's about, I always say a movie is not always what it's about. The Titanic's not about the sinking of the Titanic, it's a love story. Okay. Rocky, there's a love story there. There's a story about a guy who, didn't get where he wanted to be in life, like so many people. And that's a thread in the Mark that's very prominent. This guy was like a good guy, came from a good family. His girlfriend gets killed when he's 17 years old. He ends up on a bad path. He ends up in the military. And here he is, 30, 40 years later, he's not where he was supposed to be. And I think that speaks about so many people who get caught in a rut and they don't become the person they're supposed to be. And that's really what the mark is about. And how does he get out of this and save everybody involved is kind of the story. It's about redemption. He sees a priest, because the hitman gets his instructions in a church because it's a safe place.
Of course.
Right. So his instructions are under a pew, and he meets the priest, and they have these very veiled conversations. So it's very interesting, and I wanted to bring that church aspect into my story.
So I want to introduce Ruben, who is
we met.
one of the owners of Hamilton Radio, and he's also the tech guy. Amazing what he did today for us, but he has something to say to you.
Jerry owes me $3,000 for what I did today. Just wanted to
Ruben, I got to say, we probably spent more time setting up for this show than the actual show is going to be.
He spent more time than your movie is, okay?
Right.
Well, hey, when you do other
interviews, see the floor over here. It is filled with wires. And somehow you connected all of this madness into what we're doing.
Virtually, I know. Well, you just keep the setup. Now you're all set up for other interviews.
I had to take pictures of everything so I can know what this was like.
Oh my goodness!
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience as well. One, I want to say God bless you, because for being a cancer survivor. I mean, shame, like you said, that you were in a car accident, but that's how you found out about it. So you turned something that was bad into good.
Right.
You figure you
Cars
got two life
fixed.
Yeah, you got two cars can be fixed, right? Or you could just get another one,
right.
Somehow. But you had two God-saving things there. One, God saved you in the car accident, and two, God saved you from the cancer.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say that up front and foremost.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Secondly, we were talking about your film, and you don't have any word to put it, right?
Right.
What if I gave you a solution where you could put that film?
Yes. What if we gave you a solution?
Yes, I'm sorry.
That would be terrific.
Well, I developed my own Netflix.
Really?
Yes, I hired programmers in California. It was a 7-year project that I worked on, and it's up and running right now. And if we want to talk later after the show, I can show you how to sign up for it, and I won't charge you anything.
Oh, that I will definitely have to talk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's brand new, so I'm trying to get it out there. So we're trying to get some more, content up there. So I'm trying to get to content creators and filmmakers like you that are having a hard time to, and a selfish shame promotion here, but it's called Cinecon.net. It's Cine from cinema, and con means theater in Japanese. So Cinecon.net. And
it's a very smart thing you're doing, because the industry is changing in that direction.
Yeah. Beautiful. And in that same token, like, you put it in the film festival, right? And you probably would pay like $30, $40 to put into a film festival, roughly, maybe. And imagine you multiply by 3,000 per film festival that goes in there, and only maybe 100 to 200 at best get selected within that range, and then you have another 2,800 films that just sit there and they never get seen. So my objective was, if you have a hard time getting into Netflix, and you had a hard time getting on Amazon or something like that, or you're trying to see if you can make some money from it, or you don't want to make it, but either way you can make something from it. What is there for the average filmmaker, from short film to full features? Because even Amazon and Netflix don't take short films anymore, and especially from indie artists. So my solution is what you're in right now. You have a film, you put it in a film festival, and now you can put it to market as your own, your self-distribution. So you be your own distributor.
Great.
That's a terrific idea.
So we just paid Ruben back by giving him this few minutes of the mic for what he did for us. Thank you, Ruben.
I still want my
so
dollar.
we're even.
I want my dollar.
All right, thanks, Ruben.
It's funny, what you're saying is so true. And one of the, to go into the next venture, 4 years ago, as having put films in film festivals and seeing what was going on with that, you've obviously you've seen film festivals. You see how that
Oh
industry's
yeah.
changed.
Yep.
And I went to the co-star of The Mark, the
Hmm.
female lead, who I've worked with a lot in plays and music and different things. And I said, "Look, I want to start a film festival.
Yeah.
You in? You want to do this with me?" She said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So we started the New York Long Island Film Festival in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And it was from the beginning, it was connected to Elvis because
Oh.
I said, what's happened in the industry, 1954, Elvis walks into Sun Studios with a guitar slung on his
Hmm.
back and sings That's All Right, Mama.
Honey,
He
honey.
becomes the biggest star the world has ever known.
Honey, honey.
Now,
Is that
does that happen today?
No.
no?
No, you go into a studio, if you don't have a polished demo with people backing you
Right.
and all this other stuff lined up, no one will pay attention to you.
Exactly.
So I was like, I see films that are well thought out,
Hmm.
well structured,
Hmm.
but maybe didn't have the proper lighting, maybe the sound is a little bit off,
Yeah.
and they're getting ignored
Right.
because they're not perfect. And everybody's able to now turn around with their iPhone and make these wonderful polished things. I said, what about that diamond in the rough?
Right.
It's
And
being ignored. So
exactly.
I said, I want to start this festival and always have a portion of it, no matter how big it gets, there will always be that spirit of nihilif, that doing the most with the least. And so we started the festival in 2019, and we had a terrific introductory year. People came out, they loved it. There was such a networking family vibe with our festival. So 2020 comes, and we had done it in a movie theater in Seaford, Long Island. 2020 comes, COVID hits, everything shuts down.
Right. Right.
Every festival,
Right.
every single festival.
Yeah.
Ed Shin is our photographer who covers all the festivals up and down the East Coast.
Oh,
He
okay.
covers every festival, and he would email me every day. This one's shutting down. This one's shutting down. This one's going virtual. And I said, we are not shutting down. We are going to have a live festival in 2020. So he's like, how? And I said, well, we'll make it happen. So I went to the people here in Lindenhurst, I live in Lindenhurst, Long Island, and I went to the administrators in the village, and I said, listen, I want to do this festival here. I'm going to move it over here. And they said, the Moose Lodge. One of the guys said, we'll do it at the Moose Lodge. So there's a large Moose Lodge here in Lindenhurst. I went down there. It seats about 250 people. And I said, okay, we put people 6 feet apart. We follow COVID rules. Everybody wants to wear masks. But I said, why are you making a film? You're making a film so that you can show it to your peers, show it to your family, network with people, meet other people in the industry. We don't want to go viral. We don't want people sitting in front of their laptops watching a movie on a 15-inch screen. That's not what we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
So we did it, and it was basically it. If you build it, they will come.
Right.
So we did a 2-day festival. That was the plan, and we sold out both days.
Wow.
We followed every
Yes.
COVID rule. Not one person came down with COVID. And we were the only festival that I know of that went live that year. So we're very
Awesome.
proud of that. And it's grown since then. We're now in our 4th year. It's October 20th, 21st, and 22nd of this year.
It's amazing. Amazing. So, all right. So you guys will connect after the show?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Yes, we
yeah.
definitely have to talk. because-
Definitely. Yeah, we have
Wow.
to talk because exactly what you said is the reason why I built this platform. And if I make a 30-second quick note.
Sure.
I stemmed the idea when I was down at the Miami Film Festival. It was called the Black. It was the Black Film Festival. It's another longer name, but that's what it was, and it was sponsored by NBC. And so I went down there. I got to meet the NBC executives and stuff like that. I got to talk to them and everything like that. The ticket was very expensive. It was like $400, and that was like 10 years ago or 9 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but the $400 got you to talk to the executives, and I got some ideas from them and stuff like that, what to do, and they were actually very forthcoming. So anyway, I went, just like you said, there was a lot of great films there, even though it was the American Black Film Festival. That's what I was thinking. But even though it was called that, but there was such diversity there of so many different films. People,
Yes.
all races and genders, religions were there. It didn't really matter. And I asked one of the films was a really awesome film I saw in there. I was like, "Can I get a DVD?" I said, "I'll pay you like $10. I'll support the arts. I'll give you $10 for the film." He goes, "Oh, I didn't carry any with me because I didn't think anybody would want one." And I said, "Well, I want one. This other person want one."
Right.
Yeah. So fast forward, I'm in my hotel room and I'm thinking to myself, why can't people go on? Why can't filmmakers put their stuff in distribution? So I'm calling I call AMC up. I'm researching Amazon and Netflix, and I realized there's a lot of red tape in there. And so from 2013, 2014, I was trying to conceive the idea, and then I approached this idea. Why can't an independent filmmaker like you and I be our own distributor, like self-distribution? Wow. How can I do that? Okay. So by the grace of God, I actually met this other guy in California. We just really met on the phone, but we've been talking for like 7 years now, so we became really good friends. He's a bit older than Jerry. He's about 68.
He's old. No.
He's old. Yeah. And, he's a nerd, so he's kind of like, out there, conspiracy, but he's actually a good guy. We have a little tip for tats on the phone. We never actually met in person, but we just became good friends, and he's a Christian. So, so like I said,
you're segueing nicely into the next thing that I was going to talk about, which is age. Age is an interesting thing, and I don't know how old you are.
He's young.
I'm 44.
He's young.
44, right? You're still.
He could be my son, and his mom's Italian. I had to throw that in, so he's gotten that a lot too. Go ahead.
I know.
Well, I know so many people now. It's like I always joke how we grew up watching All in the Family, and I remember thinking Archie Bunker was like an old man. And I think he was younger than we are now.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Okay, something just happened.
Okay, well, that's my cue.
And they could come in.
I put a note on the door.
Yeah. Tell them they should come in because they're going to be out there a while. So, guys, give us a minute here because we just have a technical difficulty with my guest speaking. You just got very quiet. Okay, guys. Yep. Yeah, let them know. Guys, bear with us, please. Something happened on my guest's end. Let me see what's happening here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to call my guest, guys. I'm going to call my guest. Bear with us, guys.
When you have something really good, it's always under attack.
Okay, so go back in. Go back in.
Well, it looks like.
That's okay. Okay. Guys, bear with us. My guest is having some tech issues, but we're trying to get him back. Ruben, he thinks there was something with tower issues happening. Okay.
Well, I'm heading down the highway, I don't know where. No set direction, I just don't care where my truck stops. I'll call home. Where my truck stops, I'll call home. Well, I packed up my life in this old pickup truck. I left behind your memories of my bad luck. Where my truck stops, I'll call home. Where my truck stops, I'll call home. And the wheels on my truck just keep on rolling. As far as I can, I'll keep on going. The taillights in my mare, the white lines up ahead. The wheels on my truck just keep on rolling.
So, Jer, say hello to everyone again.
Hello again. This is some memorable day.
What my guests do not know, let's just tell them then, okay?
Okay.
We worked an hour and a half to set this show up. We have no idea why all this was going on, so it might be a tower down, Jer, then.
While I was sitting here talking to you, my lights flashed
Okay?
and cable went out, so we got cut off,
So it might be something about that.
just like a power surge or something. So,
Okay.
but I always say, when something's really good, it's going to be under attack.
That's right. So this is the greatest show ever.
That's right.
So, Jer, all right. So continue talking. You know
So
what?
Ruben disappeared, but
I want you
what
to
I was
continue talking, then
what
we'll
I was
play a
leading
song.
into, what?
Continue talking a little, and then we'll play a song.
Okay. What I was leading into is talking about age and how it's changed now. I sing at a lot of senior places, and I see people now that are 90, 95, 100. Yesterday I did a show at a senior place. A 102-year-old woman runs up to the stage and starts singing. She's 102. She literally ran. And I know 50-year-olds that have trouble running, and I see people are living longer and better. And
Yes.
so I had written a film about a decade ago called Bridge the Gap.
Okay.
About 10, 12 years ago, I had came up with this idea, which, again, like I was going to say to Ruben, meeting him and possibly streaming, and I've learned patience. So
You sure
like when
have.
people push, what?
You sure have.
Right? Like just today, it doesn't, it'll all work out is sort of my philosophy. And it wasn't always that way. But I've applied that to music and film and everything. And so I wrote this script a little over a decade ago called Bridge the Gap, which is about 4 young men in the 70s. They're teenagers and they have a band, and they're going to be the next Beatles. They're going to make it. And the Paul of the band is told by his father he has to quit. He's going to college in another state. You're going to become a lawyer, and that's it.
Okay.
So the band is dead. And the other 3 guys hate him. He leaves. They don't see him much over the next 30, 40 years. But the other 3 guys stay in the neighborhood. They end up in the houses they grew up in. They still live across the street from each other, and they have lives and careers. One's an accountant. One owns a music store. And they're living like everybody else. The other guy becomes wealthy, lonely, and miserable.
Okay.
Years later, when his father dies, the other 3 guys go to the funeral, and they see him and say, hey, we still have a band. We play in bars on weekends. Why don't you come down and jam with us? He's reluctant, and, those days are gone. Long story short, he finally comes down. He ends up jamming with them. He goes home, and he's thinking about a song that they had the melody to when they were kids, but they never had any lyrics to it. And he calls them up. He's like, did you guys ever do anything with this song? And they're like, no, we didn't create anything. Once you left, you were the creative guy. So he sits down and writes the lyrics to this song now from his life experiences, drawing back on his childhood sweetheart. And he writes this song called The One.
Okay.
And he goes to the garage with the guys. He's like, listen to this. And they start playing it. And their band, when they were kids, were called The Kings.
Okay.
And while they're playing the song in the garage, the 2 guys who live across the street from each other have sons who are 17 years old and have a band, but it's all computerized stuff. No more, they don't really play instruments. It's all synthesized. And so they hear the fathers. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and they record them without the fathers knowing it, they record them because they're like, man, these guys sound great. Well, when the fathers are done playing, they're like, wow, this was great. Why did we ever stop doing this? And they start pointing fingers at each other. They get into a fight just like they did when they were 17. They storm out of the garage and they're not talking to each other. But the kids take the song, the one, they put it on the internet. And they take the pictures of the father because they go, no one's going to listen to these old guys, but it sounds great. So they take pictures of the fathers, they mutate them into these like psychedelic Picasso images. They create this colorful, crazy website, and they put the song out in the world as if it's for 20-year-olds. And the song becomes a massive internet hit by the Mutant Kings instead of the Kings.
Okay.
So now the world is like, who are the Mutant Kings? So I wrote this as a screenplay. And 5 years ago, I turned it into a play, and I went to friends of mine over at the South Shore Theater. I went to Katie Schrader, who's the actress I know, and I said, you guys want to do this? And they said, yes. So I rewrote it as a play. I wrote 9 songs for the play itself, and we put the play on, and we sold out every weekend, and it was great. So I took it to another theater, and we did the same thing again. And everybody would come to me and say, where can we see this band? Where can we see the Mutant Kings? We love this music. And I was like, well, the band doesn't exist, but it's going to. I said, it's my next thing I want to create. Now, COVID hit, so we weren't able to do the play anymore, but I did form the Mutant Kings, and we have become one of the biggest bands on Long Island. We're playing literally every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, somewhere. And I attribute a lot of it to what we play and the attitude and the musicians that I play with. Everybody is a good person. They get it. And I was always like, I want to be like the Rat Pack of rock and roll. Like, let's go out, let's have fun, let's play fun music. If we're having a good time, they're going to have a good time. And it's amazing how all of this has snowballed. And in the film, one of the taglines is the dreams don't always come true when you want them to. They come true when they're supposed to. And these guys who wanted to be rock stars from the time they were little kids, they broke up at 17, but that wasn't their time yet. This was their time. And now they have this hit song, and they're overcoming fear. You know, it's like, okay, we're old, but the music is what it's about. You know, I always said, what would happen if Paul McCartney and the Beatles broke up? Paul McCartney became a plumber and wrote every song he ever wrote and walked into a studio at 70 years old and said, listen to this stuff. Nobody would pay attention to him because he was 70, but that same brilliant body of work would still be what it was. So I wrote this as sort of like, what would happen if, and will the music, and there's a lot that happens in the story. You know, it's about bridging the gap between the musical generations, friendships, old friends. Obviously, there's a romance in it. And my big goal is to have this turned into a film someday on a main level. And with my band, we play all the music from the play. And it's a real trip when people now request, you know, like we'll be singing Beatles songs and Monkees songs and Elvis and Eric Clapton, and people come up and say, "Can you play the Garage? Can you play the one, you know, from the play?" And it's like, sure. So it's just, you know, I always say, I can't imagine what it feels like to make millions of dollars doing this because I'm so happy doing it at this level, just getting out there and playing. And I marvel sometimes at how people in this business destroy their lives. So it's an interesting thing watching it all unfold, and it's just so enjoyable and fun.
So I want to say something to you. You are so inspirational to everyone out there. And, you know, I crack up laughing whenever you mention age. Janine, come here for 1 second. I want to introduce you to someone. Come over here. This is Janine Carabelli.
Hi, how are you?
Her and I have to go back. She's a lot younger than me. I've noticed since she was young. I love her whole family.
Thank you.
Tell him what you do, real quick. Come on.
So we're doing a sitcom right now. I'm a writer and producer, and I do directing. So we are doing what is called Mama Rosalina. So, yeah.
Okay. So bring your crew in and let them sit down. So, yeah, we're running a little late. So anyway, so he's Italian, okay, and he's done 2 movies. No, listen, you got to hear it. I mean, it's really cool. So listen, you are so inspirational, Geri. I can't even tell you. This was absolutely worth it, okay, today. I mean,
Thank you.
All right, so listen, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to have you sing one of your songs.
Okay.
And I'm going to read a poem out of my book because it's about everything you're talking about, okay? Utilizing gifts and talents. But you're going to sing your 3 songs for us. So sing the first one now, and I'd like them to hear it as well.
All right. And before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to our friend Dominic.
Oh, listen, do it first, and we're not done anyway, but go ahead.
Okay. Because Dominic Paradise introduced us, and I didn't want to forget about that. And I hope he's watching. And
is from Long Island City, New York, where I grew up, guys. We are Long Island City, New Yorkers, okay? And we reconnected. We've known so many of the same people growing up. He's a lot older than me, guys, now. Anyway, Dominic Paradise, I love you, man. Long Island City, New York, yes. And he's an awesome, incredible singer, too, keeping, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, this is one of Elvis's early tunes. It's called Blue Moon of Kentucky. And let's hope the sound still works.
Oh, my gosh. You have no idea what we went through today.
A blue moon, blue moon, a blue moon, keep it shining bright. A blue moon, keep on shining bright. She's gonna bring me back, my baby, tonight. Blue moon, keep it shining bright. I said, blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me blue. I said, blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me blue. Well, here was on one moonlight night, stars shine bright, wind run high, and love say goodbye. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me blue. I said, blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me blue. I said, blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the one that's gonna let me blue. Well, yeah. Well, he was on one moonlight night, stars shine bright, wind blowing high, love said goodbye. Blue moon of Kentucky, keep on shining. Shine on the moon that's gonna let me blue.
All right, so everybody clap. You got an audience now that came in, and they're all dancing over there, Geri Ferretti, okay? So listen, first of all, you are amazing. I wish you guys could have been here for this entire show. This guy is a screenplay writer. He's a singer. He's got a band. The guy is off the charts, okay? Survived 2 cancers. This guy's one of the most inspirational, I'm not kidding you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, okay? One of my most inspirational guests. Does he act? He's acting now. He's Italian. We all act, okay? Come on. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm just a very fortunate guy. That's really, you know, as you know, I'm sure, gratitude is such an important part of it, and I'm grateful every day.
Are you waiting for any more of your friends? All right. So I don't want you to sing You Know What Song. Leave that for the third in case some more come in. I would love for you to sing your second song right now. The third one's going to be, you're going to have
We'll go
tears.
from the 50s into when Elvis had a hit, almost in the 70s. This is from I believe 1969.
Okay. Let them in.
Let's see.
Here we go, baby.
As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mama cries, 'cause if there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? The child needs a helping hand. He'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? Well, the world turns, and a hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the street as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. And his hunger burns. So he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. And then one night in desperation, the young man breaks away, buys a gun, steals a car, tries to run, but he don't get far, and his mama cries. As the crowd gathers round, an angry young man face down in the street with a gun in his hand in the ghetto. And as her young man dies, on a cold and gray Chicago morning, another little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mama cries.
So I just want to say that's absolutely, absolutely, absolutely beautiful. You know, everybody that knows me knows I'm one of the biggest Elvis fans in the world, okay? I got to be interviewed by George Klein at Graceland. I got to interview Elvis's nurse, Marion, who's, say prayers for her. She's in the hospital, guys. She's in her 90s, and she'll be okay, I hope. She's a good friend of mine. And I'm supposed to meet Priscilla. It was supposed to happen through COVID. So, you know, that song right there, and I'm sure you know this, Jerry, they said was racist when it first came out. Okay?
Yes.
And Elvis was probably the least racist person in the world, okay?
Absolutely. And he was reluctant to record that because
that's right.
It was so
That's right.
message driven. You know, Hound Dog is one thing, but
Yeah. And
yeah.
thank God he did.
Yep.
Real quick, I want to touch base real quick on the Elvis movie. Did you see it?
Yes.
So I hated it. I love the acting. They should all get Academy Awards. There were so many untruths in that movie that I called
Yes.
Graceland and talked to the president of Graceland. I talked to Jack Soden, and we talked in depth about it all.
Wow.
A lot of things. I would say, I'm going to say probably 75 to 80% of what was in that movie, guys, if anyone sees it, was untrue. And I'm going to share something because you're going to have a lot of listeners with this show. And I want everybody out there to understand one thing. Two things hurt my heart that were in that movie. One of them, they never showed, well, three things. They never showed any happy moments with him and his daughter on the golf carts. They never showed any of that. They never showed any happy moments with him and his mom. Everything was yelling and screaming, and he'd go, okay, but this, and he never, ever, ever was on a stage and screamed and cursed at the colonel and fired him in the audience. That didn't happen. But
Oh,
the
right.
worst that they put in this movie was this. When Elvis Presley was drafted, a colonel tried to get him out of it in real life. Elvis said, absolutely not. I want to serve my country and I don't want any special treatment. And they were going to try and get him to do, concerts to give him special treatment. He said, absolutely not. Served as a soldier for this country. In the movie, it portrays that he was going to jail for 2 or 3 years because he was wiggling too much on stage. And the colonel got him out of going to jail by sending him away. That's not true at all.
Nope.
So I just want to make that clear because you're going to have a lot of Elvis fans listening to the show, and I just had to say all that.
Yeah.
So
No, and you're 100% right. And it's a shame because the movie was well done,
Yes.
well acted,
the acting was
And
incredible. The
and
acting
it
was
brought a
incredible.
new generation to the music.
Yes,
I can see it when I do my shows. There's
Yes.
an appreciation for it.
yes,
And what I like about it is some people have been annoyed that they brought some more modern music to it. When we do our Elvis shows, like we do Viva Las Vegas, we do it like the ZZ Top version. We
right,
rock
right.
it up.
I love that.
And Elvis has been gone 47 years or
That's right.
45 years. He would have evolved.
I agree.
So at the same time that we do the music, I like bringing nuances and new change to it. But you're right, and that one particular aspect in particular,
In
that
particular, hurt me.
arrest
Hurt me.
infuriated me.
So before I have you sing your final song, and guys, you have to hear, he's going to bring you to tears with the third song. I want to read this poem from my book for you, especially for you, Geri, because it's called Utilizing Gifts and Talents, and that's what you talked about through this whole entire show, okay, how you've done that. So all the listeners out there, we want to inspire everyone to understand that, number one, age is just a number. So don't even worry about how old you are. I didn't write my book till I was in my 50s. I didn't come on radio until I was in my 50s. And look at all the awards, right? Look at what Geri's doing. I mean, guys, please understand we are no better than anyone else. Everyone has gifts and talents. Please figure it out. I'm going to read this poem for everyone to really listen to. We are born with talents, we are born with drive, with different gifts to help us thrive. I knew early on I was born to draw and paint, to also write poetry and to talk without restraint. Our gifts and talents should all be used, God's gift to us not be abused. We can go far in life for sure, using our gifts to go on tour. All our talents should be used to create ourselves and more, but then our job's to share them, to even up the score. You see, in life what's needed is not just for ourselves. Once our gifts are mastered, take them off the shelves. A living we can make by spreading them around, not just for the money, but to spread a peaceful sound. Don't take for granted the gifts you're given. Go out and spread the joy. Our gifts are not to be held back for us to self-destroy. Put your efforts forth. Do not hesitate. All your talents, my friend, are never second rate. Never hold them back or you will surely die. Maybe not in body, but your soul will cry. Our gifts were made to share, our talents made to soar. Go through life enlightened and then you can roar. Be proud of who you are. Be happy you're alive. Once again, my friend, your gifts will help you thrive. By putting efforts forth, not keeping them at bay, your name, Jer, will live forever, forever and a day. Go through life excited for what you sure can give. To yourself and others is our reason to live. Our grave will be quite lonely, but our legacy lives on. Make sure people smile with the breaking dawn. Jer, thank you, because that's what you've done.
That's incredible.
No, but that's what you've done. Thank you, guys.
Wow.
That's
And
what
you
you've
wrote
done.
that, right?
Of course. I'm
That-
a
that
poet,
is
and I
incredible.
know
It's
it, baby.
beautiful.
No, thank you.
That's beautiful.
God
I'm
inspired it.
I'm so grateful to Dominic because I'm so glad to know you.
We love you, Dominic Paradise. Yes. He keeps,
Yes.
listen, I'm going to say it. He keeps Frankie Valli music alive. This guy
Yep.
is off the charts, everybody. Look him up, Dominic Paradise. He's one of my friends on Facebook, okay? Fellow New Yorker. Yes. So, Jer, I'm going to let you sing your final song, then I'm going to give you my real thank yous, okay? So let's
Okay.
hear it.
Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the big world thy hands have made. I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then I shall bow in humble adoration, and they'll proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
Yes, 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 yes. Listen. Listen.
Thank you.
But when I get to heaven, the party will start. Elvis Presley will be singing, How Great Thou Art, baby.
That's right.
Listen, music is a must for you to keep your joy, especially if it's Elvis, because Elvis is my boy. I love you. Jer, I want to thank you from the bottom
Whoop. Sorry.
from the bottom of my heart for this interview today. And thank you for being patient. And listen, you have totally inspired me. Listen, you rocked this studio today. And everybody out there listening, please, please, please share this show. Go to the Geri Petito Show YouTube channel, okay? A lot of great things are happening. Go to my website, GeriPetito.com. Guys, this guy right here, Geri Ferretti, you are amazing. God bless you.
Thank you. You too. It's been a pleasure. God bless you all and stay positive out there.
Thank you, Jer. Ruben, we love him, all right? Take us out.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do.
Just what to do, just what to do.
If what you're feeling is really true.
Is really true, is it really true?
Just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time, this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Loves the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.